So you guys are getting ready to start writing your lesson plans for this course. You're doing this as a group, and so I really encourage you to, right after you watch this video, contact your group members so that you can start to touch base. Your group members for this assignment are different than the group members for your KWA. So get to know each other, start the process early, because as you'll see, there are several stops along the way this week as you work on this assignment. Your lesson plans will follow an explicit instruction format. You learned about explicit instruction in Units 1 and 2. Please go back to those units and review that content. Especially focus on that Archer and Hughes chapter, as well as scaffold instruction. Research has found that greater gains are associated with explicit systematic instruction, and that's why I'm having you use this format for this class. The first portion of your lesson plan addresses context. Context really matters. In this section of the lesson plan, you're gaining the student's attention. You're reviewing prerequisite skills, stating the goals of the lesson, stating the purpose of this skill, and stating the context in which we will use this skill. First, you need to gain the student's attention. This will help you avoid wasted instructional time. Review the prerequisite skills. The students need to master prerequisite skills if they're going to understand and apply new content. This is why we collect data on every skill, so we have it to support whether or not the student is ready for the next task. Use a task analysis to identify prerequisite skills. We did this in an earlier unit. Remember, review is not reteaching. Then you need to state the goal for the lesson. Your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time limited. Describe the behavior in a very observable manner. Include the circumstances under which the behavior will take place and state the criterion for mastery. So for example, students will write a lesson plan for teaching utilizing explicit instruction as a group given evidence-based practice resources with a rubric score of 40 or greater by the end of the semester. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to the course, and it's time limited. You need to explain to the students why they need to learn the skill that you're teaching. Where will they need to apply this? Not just for that class or that assignment, but what about in other classes or in other subject areas? Also, when will they use it? Not only in class, in school, but in life. Is it a skill that might generalize or be useful in another situation in that child's life? The next part of the lesson is modeling. This is where you actually demonstrate the skill. You're showing the students how to perform the skill. What materials are you using and what activity are you doing? Explain it in detail. I need this lesson to be written in such a way that I can pick it up and actually teach it. Remember, at the end of the semester, you're actually recording yourself teaching one of the 3 lessons that you and your group write. If it's not written with enough detail for you to be able to teach the lesson, then you're not going to score well on this assignment. Also, what evidence-based practices are you implementing? You should be implementing these practices. There are a ton of resources in your book and in the articles you've received in this class, so use those. Then what exactly will you say to show the students how to complete the entire process you're asking them to do? You're actually going to think through the process and share with students your thinking process. This is called a think aloud. So for example, if you're showing them how to do long division, don't simply show them physically, but explain step by step what you're doing and why. Say, I'm going to look at the numerator and I'm going to look at the denominator. Or first I need to establish place value. Or I need to think to myself, how many times does 5 go into 25? I know I can count by 5s. Let me do that first. I'm going to count by 5s until I get to 25. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I counted on 5 fingers. That means 5 goes into 25 5 times. You're not just showing them on the board. you're actually showing them how you're thinking through the process. Include opportunities to respond. Students should not just be sitting in one spot listening to you talk. You need to provide examples and also include students in those examples. They need to help you and show you that they're learning. So first, you might start out showing them a few times without their help. Slowly, let them start to respond to questions. You can incorporate a variety of opportunities to respond. I have an image here to show you. So you ask many questions, require choral or unison responding. And then you see some sample activities such as open and closed questions, pre-planned. You can use think, pair, shares. You can do signals. You can have marker boards. You can have yes/no cards. It's up to you, and it's up to the lesson that you're teaching. The next part is the student guide and practice. This is where the students actually practice the skill. You're not just teaching a lesson and letting them go on their own. You need to give them opportunities to practice multiple times, to receive lots of feedback, either from you or from their peers. So first, explain the activity they're going to use to practice this. Is it a small group activity? Is it a peer-assisted learning strategy? Are you working with a small group of 3 playing a game to practice whatever skill you're learning? It should be interactive. If guided practice is on their own and they're working on a worksheet or an individual game, they're not getting immediate feedback. They need that immediate feedback so that they can engage in the error correction process. You need to check for understanding, and that's why it's so important that guided practice is not just a student on his own. You need to be circling around and checking with the students to see if they understand. How will you give feedback? It should not be, nope, that's wrong. They should be receiving praise, and they should be receiving prompts that help them get to the correct answer. You can also scaffold instruction and plan different types of activities for struggling learners. Again, go back to some of those earlier units and review scaffold instruction. I included an IRIS module on this, and it will really help you on this assignment. Students need to apply what they learn, and you need to collect data. Otherwise, you don't know if they're learning. Describe what the child will do independently. What activity are they doing? Give me instructions for this. How you collect the data. How can you show growth? If you don't have data, you don't have growth. If you don't have growth, then they're not meeting their goals. You need to collect frequent data. So maybe you have a plan for data today, but maybe you have other activities in the future where you can collect this type of data to make sure that they are learning this skill. Now this is a group lesson plan. That means I've put you in groups of either 2 or 3. For those of you who are in a group of 2, you're perhaps writing a little bit more of the lesson plan. However, you do have some more flexible opportunities for picking what section you write on that 3rd lesson plan. If you have a problem with being in a group of 2, please contact me and we will work it out. If you look on Blackboard and you click on Unit 7, which is in orange, it will take you to the wiki. There are videos on the assignment page, and there are videos actually in your wiki. If you look at the wiki, you'll see that you must complete your assigned lesson plan section by Wednesday of next week. Then by Friday, you need to have given each other feedback. Use the rubric that I provide to guide your feedback. By Sunday, you should have submitted all of your revisions. That means your lesson plan is ready to be submitted to me for grading. This is a group assignment. It is very important that you stay on track with all of your deadlines. It would be very disrespectful to your group members for you to fall behind, because that will also cause them to fall behind. You have been assigned groups. As I mentioned earlier, they are different from the other group assignments we do in this class. Your group names are just colors, so you are either in the blue group, the green group, the orange group, the pink group, the purple group, the red group, or the yellow group. Within your group, you've been assigned a color. So if you look at the sample, you have Candace, Susie, and Vanessa. Candace is red. That means all of the typing I do into the wiki will be in red. Susie will type in green, and Vanessa will type in blue. This will help me tell who's writing what, and will also help you guys be able to see who's writing what. You'll see that I am assigned to the heading, the context, the student application, and the observation and data collection section for this lesson. For the next lesson, I will be assigned a different section. So whenever I write for written expression, I will be assigned the teacher modeling portion of the lesson plan. For the feedback, I will provide feedback only for the teacher model section. I provided you a sample lesson wiki. Take a look at this example. It shows the color coding, it shows the feedback, and if you click on the example lesson plan link over by peer feedback, you'll see this lesson in its edited format. I'm sure you want to know about grading. I will use a rubric. I've included those rubrics for you. There's a rubric for the lesson plan, which you should use to provide feedback to each other. And there's also a peer feedback rubric. Providing peer feedback will earn you 15 points. So please read how I want you to provide feedback to each other by looking at this rubric. Finally, collaborate and ask questions. There are several ways that you can collaborate and ask questions. I've set up your own Blackboard discussion board just for your group. This is where you can collaborate, discuss the lesson plan, decide on what activities you want to do, etc. You can also email each other. If you have a question that you think would benefit the entire class, please go to the FAQ discussion board. I will be checking it frequently, just as I have throughout the entire semester. Finally, feel free to email me. I don't mind, and I will gladly answer your questions.